Hello and welcome to TD's Pokemon Lair. I'm TD and this is the Lair. Today we'll be unboxing a box of 10 Pokemon cards I sent to PSA over a year ago, and I just got them back in this nice little box. They packaged them nice and tightly so they come here to your house nice and safe and sound. Let's get them out of this box and let's see what grades I got. Let's go. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon game based Koffing number 51 card. The front of this card looks really clean. I don't see any dirt, damage, creases, bends, or anything like that. Our centering from left to right, I think, is not too bad. It might be slightly to the left. From top to bottom centering, I think, is pretty good. I think it's within spec. But our corners and our edges look really clean. The back of the card looks really nice. Our graphics are nice and clean. I don't see any problems with the surface of the card. Our centering from top to bottom, I think, is within tolerance. Our centering from left to right, though, I think is slightly to the left. And looking at our edges and our corners, there's some damage to the upper right corner. And we get a grade of 9. That's pretty good for this old base card. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon game base Machop, the number 52 card. The front of the Machop here looks really clean. I don't see any dirt, damage, creases, or bends. As we look to our centering, though, from top to bottom, I think it's pretty good. But from left to right, I think it's slightly towards the left. And our corners and our edges, though, I think are very clean. As I look at the back of the card, you can see that the surface is good. The graphics are nice. I don't see any bends or creases. Looking at our centering from left to right, it's towards the right. And from top to bottom, I think it might be slightly towards the top. And as we get to our corners and our edges, the major thing is there's some damage down pretty much the whole right edge of the card. And that's going to give us a grade of near mint 7. Not too bad with all that damage down the side. Let's look at this 1999 Pokemon game base Magnemite, the number 53 card. Looking at Magnemite here, the surface looks really clean. I don't see any dirt, damage, creases, or bends. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, I think it's slightly towards the top, and from left to right, it's slightly towards the left. Our corners and our edges, though, are very clean with no damage. The back of the card looks pretty good. Our centering from top to bottom, I think, is slightly towards the top, and from left to right, it's towards the right. Our edges and our corners look pretty good, except the lower right corner and possibly upper right corner have some slight damage. Our surface, though, is really clean. There's no damage or dirt or grime or any bends or creases. And that's going to give us a grade of mint 9. I like it. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon game-based Metapod, the number 54 card. Looking at the front of this card, you can see that it's clean. There's no bends, breaks, damage, creases, or anything like that. Our centering from left to right, I think, is within tolerance. And from top to bottom, I think it's slightly towards the top. As we turn to the back of the card, you can see that the surface is really clean. I don't see any damage to the graphics or the card itself. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, I think that's pretty good. And from left to right, it's slightly towards the right. And finally, looking at our corners and our edges, there's some damage down that right edge that'll really affect the grade. That's going to get us a grade of near mint 8. That's not too bad. We have a 1999 Pokemon game-based Onix, the number 56 card. Onix here looks really nice. I don't see any dirt, damage, creases, bends, or anything like that on the surface of the card. Our centering looks pretty good from top to bottom and left to right, and I see no damage on our corners or our edges. Flipping the card over, the back looks really clean. I don't see any bends or creases or any dirt or grime. Looking at our centering from left to right, it's towards the right, and from top to bottom, I think it's within tolerance. Looking at our corners and our edges, they all look pretty good, except right in the center of the right edge is a slight damage mark. And we're going to get a grade of mint 9 for this Onix. I like it. Like it like that. Let's check out this 1999 Pokemon game-based Pidgey, the number 57 card. Looking at the front of this card, it looks pretty good. I don't see any damage to the surface, no creases or bends or dirt. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, I think that's within tolerance. From left to right, I think it's slightly towards the left. And finally, looking at our corners and our edges, There's some slight damage to the upper edge. And as we turn the card over to the back, you can see that the surface looks really clean. Our graphics are nice. Our centering from left to right is towards the right. Our centering from top to bottom, I think, is within spec. And our edges and our corners, there's some damage all down that right edge. And with all that being said, we got a grade of near mint 7. That's better than I thought. Check this out, a 1999 Pokemon game-based Pikachu, the Yellow Cheeks version, the number 58 card. Looking at the front of this card, you can see that the surface is clean. There's no dirt or grime. There's no bends, creases, or anything like that. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, I think it's towards the top by quite a bit, probably out of spec. And from left to right, centering, I think is pretty good. Our edges and our corners on the front of the card look really good. The back of the card looks really nice. I don't see any dirt or damage or creases or bends. Our centering from top to bottom is towards the top, and to left to right is towards the right. And looking at our corners and our edges, the only thing I can see is some slight damage to the lower right corner. And we're going to receive a grade of near mint 8. I thought we'd do a little better with that one. Oh well. Let's look at this 1999 Pokemon game-based Poliwag, the number 59 card. Looking at the front of Poliwag, you can see that it's nice and clean. I don't see any dirt or grime or bends or creases. Our centering from left to right, I think, is possibly within tolerance, or maybe slightly towards the left. From top to bottom, our centering is towards the bottom. I think out of at least the top 10 spec. And our corners and our edges, I think, are really clean. Looking at the back of the card, you can see that this surface is nice and clean. Our graphics are nice and beautiful. There's no issues there. Looking at our centering from left to right, it's towards the right, and from top to bottom, it might be within tolerance. And looking at our corners and our edges, both right corners have some slight damage. And our grade is going to be a near mint 8. Those aren't too bad of a grade. This card is a 1999 Pokemon game-based Rattata, the number 61 card. Looking at the front of this card, you can see there's no creases or bends, no dirt or grime on the surface of the card. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, they all look pretty close to tolerance. And looking at our corners and our edges, I see no damage that I can find. As we take a gander at the back of the card, you can see that the surface and graphics are really clean. There's no damage or problems with that part of the card. Looking at our centering from top to bottom, I think it's within tolerance, and from left to right, I think that's pretty good too. It might be slightly towards the left, but as we look at our corners and our edges, all 4 corners have some slight edge damage. And with that, we should get a grade of near mint 8. That's not too bad. Let's look at this 1999 Pokemon game-based Sandshrew, the number 62 card. The front of this card I really like. It's clean. There's no bends or creases. Our centering from left to right is slightly towards the right, and from top to bottom, I think it's pretty close to spec. Our edges and our corners have no damage. As we turn to look at the back of the card, you can see that the centering from left to right is towards the right, and from top to bottom, that's probably within spec. Our surface and graphics look very clean. There's no bends, creases, or damage. Our edges and our corners, though, there's some slight damage to both right corners and the right edge. And that will produce a grade of near mint 8. I'll take it, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe. And remember, you got to catch them all. Have a great day.